Hello, good evening, Pastor Jordan. Thank you for joining me here on StreamYard this evening.
Good evening. It's a blessing to be here. Excited
Absolutely.
about everything that God is doing through you.
Well, thank you for that. So, we're back again with Wonder Woman Part 2. I want to first thank you for being a part of this movement. As you know, you were with me last year and you know the journey that I've been on. So, I am so appreciative that you have joined us again and that you will be bringing it to us in Houston, Texas.
It's going to be amazing. I think that many lives are going to be impacted and changed, and people will be inspired. In addition to that, there's going to be a lot of great information that's going to help people to position themselves for purpose. And I know that there are a lot of people that's hungry for purpose right now. So I'm excited about that.
Absolutely. And as you know, this year, I was on an interview earlier today, and we were talking about how the whole conversations of wealth and, building women holistically. And, I have shared over the last year just kind of my thoughts with you about how. I'm just like so excited to push women into their next grade and what we're going to be doing this year. And so, one of the questions that I get all the time is, why are there men on your platform? So I was sharing with the guy earlier today that it is very important as women that we saw in the Bible, obviously gleaned from the wisdom of men that they came across from, whether they were family members or their husbands or whatever that may be. And we talked about the importance of bringing wisdom from a masculine point of view when it comes to women conferences. And I just wanted to know, what's your thoughts about that? I don't know, maybe I'm the first person who puts men on a women's conference, but I'm excited about having you and Prophet Javon with us this year.
Yeah, I think that is a biblical precedence as it pertains to men being in the lives of women who are called to go to the next level. One particular passage that I could point to immediately is Second Kings chapter 4. Elisha gives a woman in debt instructions, and those instructions took her from poverty to overflow, or what we would say prosperity. So we see over and over again in scripture where men played a role in women coming to a place that is full and robust and plentiful. And that's what we're about. Those who are called to be prophets and those who are called to help people who have businesses move forward, we're called to help give direction so that they can maximize their potential.
And that's very important. And as one of the things that we'll get into what you do as a business advisor, as you're working with people who are either starting their businesses or maybe they're growing their businesses, that's something that you do. As you've been instrumental in kind of helping me with some things in the past. Can you just kind of speak to some of the things that you've done and that maybe that you're currently involved in as an entrepreneur and what expertise you'll be able to bring to the Wonder Woman conference?
Absolutely. There are various things that I do. Obviously, people know that I pastor a church. I am a church planter. So I'm not a transitional pastor. I'm a pastor who actually built the church from the ground floor. In addition to that, there are many real estate endeavors that I'm involved in the city of St. Louis. So I own property here. There's property that I rent here. There's property that I'm renovating here. So I understand the process as it pertains to buying real estate, buying land. In addition to that, I'm also part owner of a turf company. And Dr. LaShawn, you're aware of that. Walker Turf is an upcoming business that's going to touch this nation with excellence, because we have a great man, Edward Walker, who loves to do turf. He is excellent at that. So that's another business that I'm involved in. In addition to that, I have my own enterprise, R Jordan Enterprises, where I do coaching, and obviously I'm an author and so many other things. God has blessed me with a heart for entrepreneurs, a passion to see people grow their business from the ground floor and see it scale and see it produce. There's nothing like having a business idea and seeing that idea become fruitful, and you can eat off the tree that started as a seed. And there are people who are watching right now, and you have that seed, that entrepreneurial seed on the inside of you, and you need to know how to plant, how to water, how to cultivate it so it can really grow and produce branches that produce fruit. And so my passion is for entrepreneurs and business owners, people who have innovative ideas, that person that has that thought about something that may produce wealth and just don't know what to do with it. That thought can turn into a product. That thought can turn into a business, and you can see your family's life shift because you've been given the information that you need to bring that business into fruition. And so it's my passion, it's my love, it's something that I've been doing for a really long time.
Well, that is good. As we can see, you're well diverse in the different businesses that you have embarked upon, that you're part of, co owner, that you own. And that is so important. As you know, one of the things that I am doing is working with people under the Culture Circle brand to coach people to take their passion to the next level and make money. Because, you know, we've talked about it, we've had conversations about multiple streams of income and how important it is. You know, as a resident of Los Angeles, obviously we live in two different locations. You know, we've spoke about, you know, you can't survive sometimes over here off of one income. And you know that I'm a professional day educator and I have many entrepreneurial endeavors that I'm involved in. You know, I've been speaking to people and having conversations about the importance of this conference because it was important for me to bring people to the platform who have varied experience, such as yourself, and someone who can speak to, I don't just have one business, I have more than one businesses. Now, sometimes we can be spread too thin, but, you know, we have the opportunity to build those relationships and, you know, sustain our business because we're bringing other people in to um, do this and do that. You spoke about real estate. Obviously, you're growing your portfolio, you've got rental income and all those different things. And it's important for people to know that they don't have to just work a regular day job, but they can begin by building taking their different passions and, you know, just doing this and doing that. Real estate is a great market. You know, I'm not even going to get on here and start acting like I know because I'm not there yet. You
Mhm.
know, housing market here in Los Angeles is a little different than
Sure.
St. Louis, but I know that a lot of people have stressed. They're really interested in real estate. Some of the registrants that I've had conversations with are wondering how do they get started. And so, even having someone like you on hand during the conference to, you know, be able to just kind of share some wisdom or tell them how to get started or even advising them, whatever it is, I think those are important avenues on how to do it right. And the theme behind this is that we are all operating not only in the marketplace, but in ministry. And
Yes.
so, moving into that, you know, a lot of times in some of the conversations I've been having on these interviews are that people think I'm successful at ministry, but I can't be successful at marketplace. Obviously, you're a pastor and you have multiple businesses. And we need people to know that it's okay to pastor a church. It's okay to have a role in church, but also own businesses. And, you know, my joke has been you can't go into a boardroom and negotiate a contract speaking in tongues, but you can go into a boardroom with, you know, the wisdom that God has given you, praying, operating prophetically to know if this is something that you can get involved in. And so just kind of, you know, and I'll be, you know, a little more transparent. So I will share with our community that you have served in a capacity as a business advisor to me and have kind of helped with some of these things. And so I do know the knowledge that you bring to the table, which is why it was important for me to share you on this platform because you have an opportunity to speak that same wisdom that you did to me. And so I want people to know that I know that from personal experience in working with you and how committed you are to seeing people do great. And that's the one thing that I admire so much about you because you do help people with that small little seed and say, hey, do this, do that. And that's good because a lot of people don't take that opportunity to um you know, mentor people or advise them or whatever that is. And so, you know, if you just kind of want to speak to that, you know, I know I said a lot. I went from left to right, but you know how
No,
my
I'm following you. I'm following you all the way. You know, the prophet Elijah asked the woman who was in debt, what do you have in your house? And I would say that the gift that God has given me is to help people identify what they have on the inside of them.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who are supremely gifted. God has blessed them, God has anointed them. They have so many different ideas and abilities. There are things that they do at home. For instance, there are people who cook well. You
Yeah.
know, there are people who can sew. There's so many gifts. People who have an expertise in technology and various other things that they do well. You need somebody to help you to understand that that thing that you do well, you can make money off of it. Now,
Absolutely.
I don't want to just like for so many people who have a desire to gain income, I don't want to pervert the platform because often we talk about the money, but we don't necessarily talk about the purpose.
Absolutely.
And it's critically important that those who are gifted, those who have all of these abilities that God has given them, that they understand that there's a greater purpose for money. It is
Yes.
not so that we can just dress nice and drive nice cars, and I like all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, there is a greater purpose that God has called you to fulfill in the earth. And so I don't want anyone to uh, get lost in all of the entrepreneurial and business talk and think, well, I just want to grow my business because ambition can kill a lot of relationships. And
Absolutely.
so if you're just ambitious and you just want to do it, you won't ever really be successful at it because you don't know how to manage the relationships that actually cause you to become wealthy and successful. And
Absolutely.
so Elisha is someone who helps a woman to identify what is in her house.
Mhm.
What is in your house that can cause you to thrive and to succeed? And I believe that those who will come to the Wonder Woman conference, you're going to enter the discovery zone and you're going to realize that there is something in your house that you can use to get yourself out of debt. There
Oh,
are people that are concerned and worried. Now we're going to talk about business infrastructure and trademarks and all of the things that you need to have a successful business and to protect your brand. But
mhm.
you really need to understand how to identify the thing that God is going to use to bring you from one point to another. And
Absolutely.
we are going to help you do that. And you're going to walk away saying, I see something in me that I didn't see before, or I see something in me that I may have overlooked. God is going to help you to come into that at this particular conference because you're going to hear prophetic voices. You're going to
Yes.
hear voices that are in the marketplace. You're going to hear from people who are actually doing it. God has taken them from one place to another. Another thing that I want to say, none of us was born with a silver spoon in our mouths. So we
Absolutely.
all came from the ground floor.
That's
We're
right.
not like there are people who can talk about like, the success of their business, but they didn't start it.
Yeah.
Someone else started that business. Their father gave it to them. This is what their mother did. We're going to give you the information and the insight from the ground floor. What does it look like to start and have no support? What does it look like to start and have no followers? What does it look like to begin something and you feel like you can't continue because you don't have enough people applauding you? That's what you're going to get when you come to Wonder Woman conference. You're going to
That's
get inspired, and the information that you need is going to be imparted unto you.
That's good. That's good. You make me want to register for my own conference. It's so important that we have people who really are authentic and transparent. Oftentimes people don't talk about how you got started. You mentioned not being born with a silver spoon. We all like nice things, and there's a way to get those nice things, but there's a way to do business the way it's supposed to be done. And unfortunately, for us African Americans, a lot of times we don't have access to a lot of the business acumen and the knowledge that we need to run successful businesses that are ran the way they're supposed to be. I was at the Millions Conference just a couple of days ago, and they were talking about how we commingle funds, how we do this paperwork, we do this on this business, we do this over there. and we don't have a trademark. We're running around saying we're this, but we're not getting things trademarked. And those kinds of concepts are so important. And that's why the Wonder Woman Conference is here and will continue for years to come, because we want people to operate the way that they should in their businesses and to really see the success of the fruits that they are sowing, because it's so important when you have a business that sustains. And like you said, people have all kinds of talents, technology, people do hair, people do all kinds of different things, and they should make money from that. I've shared over and over again about the multiple streams of income that I have. I'm gifted in multiple areas, but there are things that I need to do to make sure that these businesses are in order, separate accounts, LLCs, trademarks. These are things that nobody taught me. I was operating all of this out of my personal account 15 years ago. It was just like, okay, write me a check to pay for doing a wedding. And it was like, wait a minute, I had to get all of this together. So those are the kinds of things that I want people who are coming to the Wonder Woman conference to learn. Like, hey, you got to do this right if you want to be successful. And one of the things that really impacted us is when we went into the pandemic and people couldn't even apply for SBA loans because they didn't have their paperwork together. So it's like, now is the time to get the stuff together so you can successfully run businesses with the talents that God has given you. So that, is really important what you're sharing. And so,
Absolutely.
for those of you who are just joining us, we're talking about the Wonder Woman Conference, which, I'm here with Pastor Jordan, my pastor of the Advancing Church. So thank you so much again for accepting the invitation. We will be convening in just 9 short days in Houston, Texas. So we are highlighting our last speaker on the speaker series. And so we want you all to go to the wonderwomanconference.com to learn more about the conference. We have a virtual option for those of you who can't get to Houston, but you can still get to Houston. There is time. So please share, please tag someone and all that great stuff that you all do. I know that some of our speakers that are going to be joining us, and just kind of how, some of them will be bringing different expertise. Everyone's a prophet, everybody's in the marketplace. That's the one exciting thing about the lineup, that everybody is running a business or running successful businesses and can really speak to that. And so that's the one thing that I'm excited about. I will be opening up the conference with talking about vision and how to turn that purpose, if you will, into money making ventures. And
Yeah.
so, I've been sharing highlights about the Wealthy Women's Institute, which my business coach here helped me kind of craft that together. And so one of the things that's very important is what I didn't have initially was someone working with me, as I was stating, to really set up these structures. And so I'm excited about even what you shared about working one-on-one with people and really like, hey, let's take this passion and let's make some money from it. Um,
Absolutely.
and I know that you have had an opportunity to advise, many people on how to get that done. Are you taking more clients by chance?
You know what? I'm not taking more clients at the moment, but there's a lot of information that they're going to receive at the
Oh,
Wonder Woman conference. So I
yes,
want to encourage them to register. You know, one of the
absolutely.
things that I appreciate about you, Dr. LaShawn, is that you're willing to put your money where your mouth is. You know, there are a lot of people who have a lot of ideas, but they're not willing to invest in it. And the
Absolutely.
reason why is because they lack the faith to do it. They just don't believe that it's going to be fruitful. And I really want to push some people out there to invest in the idea that God gave you. And you may be listening right now. You say, I don't have the money. I don't have any money to invest. Well, the woman in Second Kings chapter 4, the prophet told her to go borrow. He said, go borrow vessels. I want you to go borrow because there is a business that you need to fund. I want people that are watching right now. You may say, well, I can't go to the bank and borrow. Well, what we need to do is help you to get your credit right.
That's
And,
right.
and people are, listen, they often try to skip the process.
Big
You know,
time.
they want to just start a business, get things going. But
Mhm.
the first thing you need to do is work on your name.
Yes.
because God said in his word that I want to make your name great.
Yeah.
So you need to work on your name, get your stuff in order, get your house in order, get organized so that you can have a true launching pad to spring from. So
Hmm.
there are people watching right now. They say, I got the idea. I know what I'm supposed to do, but my credit bad.
Hmm.
Okay, well, let's start working on your credit. We're going to have some people that are going to be prepared to advise you, direct you on people that can help you to position yourself, because you may need to borrow the money that you need to fund your vision.
That's
So
right.
we need you to get your name right so
Hmm.
that you can be ready and prepared to fund the creative idea that God gave you. And we don't want you to leave Earth with an idea in you that you were afraid to fund, an idea that was going to shift your family from one place to another. I want you to be motivated. I want you to be inspired on tonight, because God didn't give you that idea for you to sit on it. He gave you that idea so you can run with that idea and impact lives, because people are going to be touched by what you do. So
Absolutely.
I want you to be encouraged on tonight. There's so much information that can be given. I could take you from A all the way down through the alphabet. But at the end of the day, if your name is not right, if your integrity is not settled, you will find yourself in a more difficult situation because you tried to run before you were ready.
Oh, that's powerful. Listen, you said something that was very important. Just even investing in these conferences. This is technically going to be conference number 6, even though I didn't have the one in 2020. I knew that God had gave me a vision, dreams. I had dreams as a little girl, and I've shared about, my grandmother used to tell me how she would see me in stadiums talking to these women and all this other stuff. I never knew that I would be here trying to put conferences on, let alone in a different city that I don't live in. And sometimes you spoke about your name, your integrity. I'm doing the best that I can to, sell this conference, let people know what my heart is. And you spoke to that. And it's very important that people see, like, hey, she's doing it. Like, ain't there, no one's funding this. No one is saying, here is 50 grand, do a conference. It's because I know that God has given me this and I'm treating it just how he's given it to me, and I
Yeah,
want people to get what it is that he's given me to push out. And so it's important that people take leaps, that they attach themselves to spiritual leaders, to prophets, to people who have been successful in the
yeah,
marketplace, because those are going to be people that are going to champion them to do the right thing. And most of this platform are people who I have been in some sort of business or some sort of way associated with them, and they've helped me, through the years, whether it's been advice or they've served in a role of a mentor, whatever it is, because these are people who truly wanted me to do well, who really saw the vision in me. And that is so important when you're talking about getting your name together, your credit, all these different things that we as a people run away from. And again, it goes back to, we can shout all day in church, but are your business affairs, are your personal affairs, are those things in order? So
yeah,
those are things that, I want people to come to this conference open
yeah,
minded about, like, it's okay for a second chance. I've shared so many adversities that I've been through all of that, but now it's like, I need to operate in a way in which people are paying attention, because people are watching,
yeah,
and I have to make sure that I'm handling what God has given me the way that he wants, because
yeah.
that is so important.
Yes.
And I
I would say this, for each and every person that's watching, you're going to run your business the way you run your life.
That's right.
You're going to run your business the way that you run your life. So if we took an assessment of your life, how you handle your business at home, how you pay your bills, how
Mhm.
you take care of all of the things that have to do with your house.
Wow.
If you're always behind on stuff and you didn't remember to pay this and you didn't handle that, if you're always doing that, then you're going to handle your business that way. So the way that you practice business is you practice it in your personal life first.
Wow.
You become great at handling your personal business first
Mhm.
before you try to build something that's going to be a blessing to others.
Wow.
So we need people to understand that you really get to practice before you launch your business. You really get to find out what is your business acumen in your own personal life
Right.
before you go and file for the LLC.
Yes.
So that's what we need people to understand. Let's get our lives in order
Yeah.
so that we can have a firm foundation to build from. And
Mhm.
if we do that, we'll see businesses flourish. Now,
Yes.
there are people that's going to tell you, go ahead and start the business and move forward and do
Yeah,
this, that, and the other. And you're going to spring forth quickly and fizzle out quickly.
that's
And
true.
we don't want you to fizzle out quickly.
No.
So we want you to get some things in order in your own personal life so that you have the right platform, the right foundation to build from. And when the foundation is right, you can build tall, you can build high, and you can see some real fruitfulness in your life as a result of the structure that you've put together.
Ah, that's good. That's good. I want to go over, I have a couple of questions now that we have kind of gotten into this, and I want to go to, so those who are watching us, I know that you mentioned that you are an author. Your book is, what is it? I Live Yesterday Didn't Kill Me. That's your book.
Yes.
So you talk about how you kind of went into entrepreneurial, if you will. Can you talk to us a little bit about when did you realize you were called to the marketplace? For those who haven't read your book, and we hope they'll read it after we're
Yes,
finished here.
well, I've been knowing that I was called to the marketplace very early. In my teenage years, I knew that um, I wasn't someone that was going to work for people for long,
Mhm.
just because of my personality, and some of the creative ideas and thoughts that I was having as a young man. I believed that I was going to be able to do something that
Yeah.
would generate money, generate wealth, and it wouldn't be me going to fill out a job application. It
Mhm.
would be me actually launching an idea.
Yeah.
So I learned that pretty early. But when I got saved, when God touched my life, I really felt like God was telling me to step out, to step out. There were ideas that was coming to me. And when those ideas was coming to me, I was sharing them with certain people. And you got to be careful of who you share your dream with, because
Absolutely.
people will kill your dream before you give birth to it.
Absolutely.
Before you're able to push it out, they'll kill it in infancy
Yeah.
because they didn't step out to see their dreams come to pass. They didn't pursue the things that God had placed on the inside of them. And so, as a result of their unbelief, they will discourage you. So, there were ideas that I was sharing, constantly talking about what I believed that God was going to do through me. I learned that very early on, and I began to see that God had something in store for me, even though I didn't know everything that God had in store. Like right now, to have built a church in South Africa, I didn't necessarily see myself doing that. But one of the things that I always had in my heart is a passion to trailblaze,
Mhm.
to just go ahead. Like there are people watching right now. After you get your personal life in order, you're gonna prepare as much as you possibly can.
Right.
But
Right.
at a certain point, you're going to have to step out there on the water. And the entrepreneurial journey is a journey of lessons. You learn, you grow. There are things that you do and then you don't do them because it wasn't fruitful. But you try to get a cloud of witnesses around you so
Mhm.
that you don't make mistakes that are fatal. So, for the people that are watching right now, what you're getting ready to do is you're going to come into a cloud of witnesses.
Yeah.
When you register for the Wonder Woman conference, you are literally coming into a cloud of witnesses. You are about to be surrounded by people that are going to give you insight, give you wisdom. And look, your community will fuel your journey.
That's
So
right.
when you make the right connections, one of the reasons why you need to register right now is because you're going to make new relationships that are going to help you to move forward. We
Mhm.
miss the fact that when you go to conferences like these, you walk away with relationships.
So
There's no way in the world I would have been able to do the things that I've been able to do if I did not have the relationships that I've been able to gather. And
yeah,
sometimes you just don't know where to go to find certain people. Well, at the Wonder Woman conference, that we're going to bring the people together for you. The people will be there that can actually help you. So you
yes,
won't have to ask this person over here and that person over there and learn from trial and error like so many of us had to learn. I
yeah,
had to learn that with contractors.
right,
Sometimes you hire the wrong contractor. They come in and they give you a good spiel and tell you how everything is going to look wonderful. And you give them a down payment and you don't see them again. Well,
right,
the people that are at the Wonder Woman conference have been tested. These
yeah,
are people who have integrity. These are people who have built something. So if you want to be a part of a community, you need to
mhm,
come on in and get the information, get the relationships, get what you need to move forward and do what God has called you to do. God has placed greatness on the inside of each and every one of us. But often we die in communities of people who do not believe, people who are not willing to step out. And so for me, this has been a passion for mine for a very long time. God has given me so many ideas and visions about things that can be done. And I've stepped out and done a lot of what God has called me to do.
absolutely. You brought up a valid thing that I want to touch on. One of our advancers, Kira, is in the comments, and she said just what I was going to say. Relationships will be new. One of the things that I have just learned, recently, is how important relationships are. How important it is to have people at your fingertips, not people who are just kind of coasting along, but people who have been where you are, they have what you need, and they're willing to help you. Those are very important facets that I want people to establish with our speakers, with our presenters, our facilitators. All of these different things are going to be important when you leave Wonder Woman. I've always talked about, I'd go to these conferences sometimes and I'd come home, Pastor Jordan, and I'm like, okay, what did I get out of that besides running around and shouting a few times? But those relationships are so needed and they're so important because somebody's going to have what I need across the country. And I may not see them unless I'm somewhere in a same common place where we're all coming together. And so that is what's important for me when I'm inspiring and motivating these women is the foundation of sisterhood, friendships, connections, and networking. Because without that, you're not going to be successful because somebody's already been where I'm going and somebody's going where I've already been. And so
Yeah.
together, like a triad, we can all help one another. That is so important.
Yes, and so sometimes at conferences, you may get at a conference where there are a lot of people who are
Yeah.
professing, right? And so if you have ever been a part of or matriculated a higher institution of learning, you will have professors there who are teaching you things that they never practiced.
Yes.
So what's really important is that you have people in your life that have actually practiced the thing that they're professing,
Absolutely.
right? Because they have a different level of insight. There's some nuances that they understand, some things that they can reveal to you that
Mhm.
will help you to be more effective.
Absolutely.
Some of what you need to learn can only be received from people who watch you. Like
Yes.
you need some relationships in your life that cause people who appreciate you to watch what you do and then give you insight.
That's
That is invaluable to
that's
have people in your life who will watch you and say, "Hey, no, don't do it like that," or "Don't say it like that.
yeah. Yeah.
Say it like this." You may be able to, you may have the gift of gab, right? But you may not have the right tone when you're negotiating.
Yeah.
You sometimes when you negotiate, you need to be a little bit more aggressive. And if that's not your natural inclination or proclivity, you may find yourself being too passive when you need to be stronger. Well,
That
the only person that can tell you that is someone who has watched you. someone who knows your tendencies. And so you need the relationships that will help you to propel forward and actually move into the thing that God has called you to do.
That's important. You hit home with that because I definitely have the gift of gab, but when it comes to those negotiations, I need a little help in that area. So you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. It's important for people who are watching and who have a vested interest to be able to guide me and help me with that, because that is an area that I'm obviously growing in. So that's important. And that's something that we want people who want to be successful in the marketplace, who want to have
Yes.
successful businesses have that. And that, like you said, that is the network that we're building.
Yeah.
Wonder
That's what's
Woman,
going to happen. That's what's going to happen with the Wealthy Woman's Institute,
absolutely,
where you're going to actually be able to bring a group of people together, and you guys will actually walk through negotiations,
absolutely.
and they'll be able to do those negotiations with people who negotiate, so they
Hmm.
can tell them, hey, no, you're too passive with that. I want you to say that with more confidence. I
Absolutely.
want you to be able to be willing to walk away from the table when necessary, and
Yeah,
then come back to the table again and have another conversation. I
absolutely.
don't want you to be so emotional that you get upset because they don't give you what you're asking for. You're
That's
going to
true.
be able to practice negotiating so that you will be ready when negotiating time comes. So
Yeah,
there's so much that's going to be given that
yeah,
you will not be able to get in many other places. Few places will
right.
be able to offer you the insight and the understanding and the wisdom that you're going to be given.
That's good. That's good. And as Kira said in the comments, surround us with people who have practiced where we're trying to go. And I saw Apostle Gigi joined us. She said real relationships are so important. And that is one of the most important things that I want to stress upon with the Wealthy Women's Institute, is that these are going to be life-changing relationships, because there's something out there for all of us, and where one has been, the rest of us are going, and together we can go there and support one another. So, these are important times that we're in. And this is the
Absolutely.
season to flourish and to be successful in these areas. And if I'm not anything else, I want to be everyone's biggest fan, Pastor Jordan, so that they can experience, like you said, what God has for them, because we're only here for a short time, and it's time for us to walk in our season. And no more, I don't have this. I don't, this is not going to come. I don't have this money. I don't have access to these resources. God has given us what we need to go after, and we just need to know how to tap into it. And that's one of the most important things that, I'm excited about. I've been sharing that scripture in Deuteronomy 8:18, how God talks about, he gives us the ability to produce wealth. He's given that ability to all of us. And it's, how do you tap into that ability? What is it that you have to do? And I think we've talked a lot about, how do you tap into that ability? And so with the Wealthy Women's Institute, that is where we're going to be. We're going to work. I want to work with people who are serious about that infrastructure, building that foundation, and let's partner together and get this thing going. So, I'm ready. I am ready for it.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
the partnership piece. I'll say this, every business that I'm a part of, it's not a solo thing,
Right.
right? We're actually partners, right? And we got operating agreements,
Mhm.
right? So we didn't just say we're gonna be partners and you own this percentage and I own that percentage. No, we went to an attorney,
Yeah.
sat down at the table and said, this is how this business needs to be structured. And they gave us insight and they helped us to structure it in a way where we could have an agreement that we could all move forward with,
Mhm.
and understand that there is a percentage that's secure and
Yeah.
there is a way that this business is going to operate and function.
Yeah.
And so for me, the ability to partner
Mhm.
is so important to your prosperity. You
Yes.
cannot do it all by yourself.
You cannot.
Be willing to partner with someone who has a skill set that you don't have.
Mhm.
And for us to be able to do that, we have to learn how to thrive in relationships, not just survive in relationships. You got to learn how to actually win with your relationships and cultivate and grow those relationships, because those relationships directly impact your business
Yes.
and what you're able to produce and what you're able to secure. So your willingness to learn to have a high level of emotional intelligence, for you to learn, for you to grow, for you to understand when it's time to, back away from the table, when it's time to put a disagreement down. You may have had a conflict, and you got to see the bigger picture. There are people right now who will not survive in business
Yeah,
because they're not focused on the bigger picture.
that's right.
They let everything be a problem for them. They let everything be a problem for them. And so you can never move forward and really win, because the little foxes keep distracting you. And
Yeah.
you know what? I said this, and we know that the little fox is full of vines. So we're not talking about like being meticulous, right? You need to be meticulous.
Yes, you
But
do.
there's something that I always share. And I share this story because I know that it gives people a visual of what it looks like to really focus in, so that you could be prepared to take on something that's bigger than you. When
Mhm.
I watch the Nature Channel, when the lioness is hunting, often when she's crouched in the field, there are like fleas and flies that are all over her nose, and trying to like rest on her. And she does not get distracted with the fleas and the flies, because her eyes are on something that is bigger than she is. And
Right.
if she moves too soon, she will lose the prize.
That's it.
So she is able to focus in the field and see her prey, and
Mhm.
not let the little things that are happening around her distract her, because she will lose the thing that she's focused on that is bigger than her. So
Oh,
when you understand the big picture, you do not let gnats and flies
that's it.
stop you or
Yes.
distract you. You gotta focus in on the bigger picture. It will help you to save some relationships and some partnerships that God has brought in your life so you can prosper.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting. That's something I'm going to keep in the back of my mind, because that is true. The lioness is definitely focused on the prize, and we sometimes can get distracted with so many different things. Even just the lack of knowledge, we're not going to be successful in the businesses. So I have one last question for you. How do you balance pastoring the advancing church and all of these businesses? What's your secret?
It is no secret. I would say this: I'm
Yeah,
constantly rebalancing.
good.
There are times where I'm completely out of balance.
Yeah.
There are times when I know I need to rest. There are times when I know I need to stop and pause for a moment just to think. So what I attempt to do is, in the moments that I'm weary, listen to my body.
Yes.
So there are moments that I'm constantly like just evaluating
Mhm,
and looking at myself and saying, okay, are you effective right now?
mhm,
Are you tired because you did this and you did that,
mhm.
and now you don't have any energy to do the things that you need to do as a pastor?
Yeah.
Or are you not raising the bar anymore because you got too much going on?
Mhm.
So like the balancing act
Mhm.
is something that you're constantly trying to do. And sometimes you get off balance.
Yeah.
And sometimes you may take a little fall and you get back up again, and you get back
Mhm,
on the beam,
mhm,
and you start balancing all over again.
mhm.
And so there is no like perfect solution to people who are like developing multiple streams of income or
Yeah.
have various businesses. Like
Yes.
there are times where you're going to be extremely focused on one thing, and you're
Yes.
not going to have time for some of the
Mhm.
other things that you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So this is not like a matter of like I'm so balanced and regimented that I always walk in a straight line. No, I
Yes.
don't always walk in a straight line.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look like I'm drunk. I'm not really drunk, but
Right,
it look like I'm drunk.
right.
But at the end of the day, my whole point is that we're all attempting to gain our footing every single day. When
Yes,
you are an entrepreneur, that is the world that you live in.
yes, that's true.
You live in the world of trying to get balance all the time.
Right.
And I have made a decision to not give up on that,
Mhm, mhm.
right? To constantly look at my life and say, am I balanced? What do I need to pause? Do I need to get some rest? Do I need to go get a massage? I'm constantly asking myself those things, because when you're not as effective as you know you could be, you
That's
have to evaluate and take a look at what's going on in your own world.
That's good. That, self-evaluation is very important, and really reflecting to see how the productivity is and all the things that you're doing. And again, that's why I asked you the question, balancing ministry in the marketplace, because
Yeah,
many of us are doing that. Some of us operate in the fivefold, some of us don't, some of us do one or two things. There's so many different things that we're doing, but we also can be successful in the marketplace,
yeah.
vice versa. And
And you
so,
know what? That's going to be different for a lot of people. You
yes, it
know,
is.
some people will be able to go longer than others. You
Yes.
have to know when you're in a healthy, emotional, and mental space.
Mhm.
You have to know that.
Yes,
There are some people that can work for a whole week and they fine doing what they do.
that's
And then
true.
there are other people that can work really hard for 2 days, and that
Mhm.
third day,
They need
they
some
need a
sleep.
break.
Yeah, that's true.
So you
That's
gotta you gotta get your own rhythm and get your own balance. You know when you're off, and you
yeah,
know when you're no longer excellent. When
right,
you're no longer excellent, then that is the thermostat that
right.
is telling you something needs to be adjusted. You're
Mhm.
no longer excellent. You're compromising. Your integrity has been compromised. When you start seeing those kinds of things, you know you need to reevaluate.
Absolutely. That's so important. And that is the message that we want to get to those who are going to join us in Houston. That is so important in order to be effective. And so I want to thank you, Pastor Jordan, for joining me here on StreamYard. How can the people find you?
They can find me on social media. You can just type in my name, Rahson Jordan. I don't really promote titles too much, even though I know who God has called me to be in the earth.
Mhm.
You could also search for the Advancing Church. I am the lead pastor of the Advancing Church, and I've been pastoring now for 13 years. I'm not hard to find, as Tupac said.
That's too funny. Well, I want to thank you again for all that you will bring to Wonder Woman Conference. It brings me great joy that you come back again, and that you have supported. I met you on Clubhouse a couple of years ago, and we've discussed a lot of different business things, and you've just kind of been really helpful with helping with professional advice. Thank you for that, because sometimes well, it's no secret I don't listen to everybody.
Yeah,
um and so when people mean well and they really want to see me win, that's when I'm like, okay, God has sent this person to really help get me together, because it take a lot to get me together.
yeah,
But it's
yeah,
important to have people who, again, like I said earlier, that I've learned from, that other people will have access to. So I
yeah,
thank you for joining us again for this year. I'm excited on what you're going to bring, as well as we got a few people coming from St. Louis. Karen Cedric were on in the comments earlier. I'm excited to have them. I know you saw their broadcast last week. We had fun. So I'm excited about them
yeah,
joining us as well. So St. Louis is coming through to Houston. So I appreciate my church family for supporting. It
yeah.
means,
St. Louis is definitely going to be in the house for sure.
yeah,
I want to say this last thing before we let the people go. One of the other things that I really admire about you, Dr. LaShawn, is that you are the I'm gonna figure it out lady.
that's it.
You gonna figure it out. You may pull your hair out a little bit, but
Yeah.
you gonna figure out how to make something happen.
Yeah.
And for those who have a bunch of excuses, I want you to know, if you are coming to be a part of the Wonder Woman conference, you are literally connecting yourself to the I'm going to figure it out lady.
Okay.
So you're going to walk away with a passion and desire now to
Yeah.
not give up and to figure it out. Because when God has called you to do something, there is a way to make it happen. But
Yeah.
it's up to you to use everything you got to figure it out.
I like that. I think that's going to be the tagline for the global strategist. When people say, "What is that?" I'm going to say, "I'm the figure it out everything person."
Yeah,
But
I'm going to figure it out.
I'm gonna figure it out. Sometimes I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I don't rest until I have figured it out. So I
I'll
like
tell you one thing is interesting to watch.
that's funny. So I'm definitely that's going to be, I can share this with everyone, that, the global strategist is definitely someone who strategizes and works things out. And, every time I kind of come into something, it's like I may not really understand, or sometimes I'll tell myself, like, what is this? But I'm going to figure it out, whether it's calling people, Googling, I'm going to fake like I figured it out until I figure it out. But I think I've had that since I've been a child. I'm gonna have to call my parents and ask them about that. But I've
Yeah.
definitely the one to figure it out. So they called me the global strategist for that very reason. So that's the new tagline. That's funny. But for those of you again who will see this rewatch, this is one of our special guests who will be joining us, Rahson Jordan, at in Houston, for the Wonder Woman conference, which is taking place in just 9 short days.
Yeah.
We will be in Houston, Texas at the Hyatt Regency Houston West. All things are leading to Houston, wonderwomanconference.com. We have in-person registration all afternoon and evening session. Worship services are open to the public. Pastor Jordan, did you know that I'm having a leading ladies of Houston panel where the first ladies of mega
Wow.
are
That's
coming?
amazing. That's amazing.
Yes, I've connected with 4 women who are leading ladies in Houston.
Okay.
They are going to grace us with how to be leaders, how to lead alongside their husbands who pastor mega churches in Houston, but they're also business owners. They operate in business. And so I'm excited about that because it's like, wow, like these ladies are taking the time out to join us at the Wonder Woman conference. And so that's going to spill over into the entrepreneurial panel because we just have so many key people that are going to be there. So I'm excited about those new things that I've kind of added on. So we got to be busy for 4 whole days.
I'm excited about it. I can't wait to get to Houston. It's going to be
Yeah,
powerful and
absolutely.
life changing, and people are going to walk away ready and prepared to move forward with their dreams.
Absolutely. So, guys, make sure you join us. If you can't be there in person next year, save the dates. I already have the dates, a book for Charlotte, North Carolina, Wonder Woman 2024. Definitely want to make sure you put that on your calendar. But if you cannot be with us in Houston, there is a virtual registration that is being offered. Go to wonderwomanconference.com. Make sure you download my app. Again, it is My Sister's Keeper dash TGS for the global strategist, the figure out lady. Make sure you download the app so that you can get all conference materials and stream live with us. So, again, I want to thank you, Pastor Jordan, for joining me on this evening.
Thank
Uh,
you for having me. It's been great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for those of you who joined us, please be sure to share this StreamYard Live on YouTube and Facebook. Tag your friends, tag everybody. We thank you again for joining us and have a good night, everyone.
All right. Take care.
You too.